Okay, so welcome back. Today we're going to be working on circumference. So it's a new kind of concept to you, but you've done it in the past, but with other shapes. So what circumference is essentially is the perimeter of a circle. So circumference is going to be the edge or the outer edge of the circle. Okay. And for a triangle, that would be called perimeter. That would be the outer edge of like the triangle for or for any other shape. So for a circle, it's called circumference, and then for a triangle, it's called perimeter. So you've done in the past, it's just been a little bit different. Okay. So our objective for today is 7.9b, and it says I can apply mathematical process standards to solve problems involving circumference. Then of course we have our language objective that says I can write to explain how to determine which formula to use when solving for circumference in an exit ticket. Okay. So the very first thing you have on your notes is this vocabulary. So you're going to fill in your blanks on your vocabulary for your notes. Okay, so you have fill in the blanks, and it is essentially what is underlined on here. So your first word is circumference, the distance around a circle, which is the perimeter. Then you have diameter. So diameter is a line that passes through the center of a circle and cuts a circle in half. Then you have radius. And so radius is a line from the center of a circle to the edge of the circle, half of the diameter. So radius is half of your diameter. Make sure you fill in your vocabulary. Okay. If you need a little bit more time, go ahead and pause it, finish filling it in. All right, so now you're going to go ahead. You have 3 circles on your paper. You're going to label the circles similar to the way mine are. So the first circle, you're going to label circumference, and you're going to highlight, or with a different color, I want you to do the outer edge of the circle. So let me find a color that's going to stand out here. Oh, this doesn't really stand out, I guess, because I have it on highlighter mode. But circumference. And if you notice, I already had a dark border around it for circumference. Then your middle circle, you're going to draw a line that cuts your circle in half, and that is your diameter. You're kind of labeling what diameter looks like. Then you have radius. And so if you remember from your definition, it says a line from the center of a circle to the edge of the circle, half of the diameter. So radius would start at the center of the circle and go out. Okay. And here it goes out to it starts at the center and it goes out to the right. Radius can start at the center and go down, or it can even start at the center and go to the left. It might look a little bit different. Okay. Or start at the center and go. So it's not always going to go out to the left. It's just going to, but it is going to start at the center and then go out to the edge of the circle. So make sure you are aware of the different ways it would be labeled. It could be identified in a circle. Okay. So go ahead and make sure you labeled your circles like that. If you need a little bit more time, go ahead and pause your video. Okay. So just make your circles look like the ones on this slide. So what is the formula for circumference? Sorry, guys. So hint, you have a reference chart. So where do you think you're going to find this formula? You have a hint. Okay. So go ahead and look at your reference chart and find the formula on there. All right, so you had a little bit of time to look for it. So does this look familiar? So yes, this is your formula chart. If you notice, on your formula chart, you have dark lines that kind of look like they're ombre. They start darker and they go lighter. Okay. Those lines are the label or split your reference chart into different sections. So if you go to the section that's labeled circumference, then underneath you have circle and you have the 2 different formulas. Okay, so if you notice, you have C equals 2 pi r, and then you have C equals pi d, or pi times diameter. Okay, so on your paper, I want you to write down both of these formulas, but when you write them down, so essentially copy this down, circle, and then write the two, I want you to write radius for this one and diameter for this one. Or you could even write them underneath your circles. So underneath the circle that is labeled with diameter, you could write C equals pi times diameter. And the one that's labeled with radius, you can write C equals 2 pi r. Okay? And so then you know that first, those would be the formulas you use. So whether the problem gives you diameter, you're going to use your diameter formula, or if it gives you radius, you would use your radius formula. Okay? So now we have diameter versus radius. So if you remember from your vocabulary, I'm going to go ahead and come back to vocabulary. It says radius is a line from the center of a circle to the edge of the circle. It's half of your diameter. Okay? So here, if you have a diameter of 10, remember that radius is half of your diameter. Okay? So if your diameter is 10, what would be your radius? 5. That is correct, because 5 is half of 10. So if you have a radius of 6, what do you think your diameter would be? So if to find your radius, you divide your diameter by 2, or you multiply it by 2, because that's what this means. This means radius is diameter divided by 2. So if you have radius, what do you think you have to do? Yes, if you said multiply by 2, that's correct. So 6 times 2 is 12. So if your diameter is 12, half of 12 is 6. Okay? So if you have a diameter of 22, what would be your radius? Yes, 11 is correct. Okay, so go ahead and try the 3 on the other side on your own. So you have a radius of 3.5, and then diameter of 15, and a radius of 4. What would be the missing measurements? Okay. And then if your shoulder partner is on the same part you are on, with them discuss what you notice about radius and diameter. Okay, so kind of gave you a hint there, so kind of tell them what you notice. Okay, so today we're going to start with this, but we're only going to go up to in terms of pi. What does that mean? It means we're going to substitute and do our steps, except we're not going to multiply by pi. We're going to leave it with pi at the end. So it says find the circumference of the circle in terms of pi. Okay, so if you see here, we have WTF. What does WTF stand for? It stands for write the formula. Yes, you may think of it the way y'all are used to using it in text lingo, but it stands for write the formula. So WTF is write the formula. And then you have SS. So S is for substitute. And then your second S is for solve. So let's go ahead and write the formula. So we're finding circumference. We know we have to use one of our two formulas. Well, here, is this diameter or radius they give us? Okay, they give us diameter, right? And we need to find our circumference. So this is our unknown. So what formula should we use if they give us diameter? So look at your two formulas. Do they give us the value for D or the value for R? They give us the value for D. So you're going to pick the formula that has the variable D in it. So you're going to pick C equals pi times diameter. So that's the formula you would use. C equals pi times diameter. Okay. So now I can go ahead and substitute. So C equals pi times diameter, and my diameter is 8. Right? So it's for solve, you're just going to leave it as C equals 8 pi, because you're leaving it in terms of pi. So your final step would just be to multiply 8 times 3.14, but we're not doing that today. Today, we just want to make sure you get the process of substituting, okay? So you're just leaving it like that. So this was our we do. So you're going to go ahead and find the circumference of the circle in terms of pi. So again, you're going to write the formula. The first step, this is a we do also. Okay. So here, do they give us diameter or radius? So yes, this is radius. If you notice, it starts at the center, but it goes off to the left versus to the right, like you did on your example. So that means we're going to use our formula with radius, which is c equals 2 times pi r. So that's the formula we're using. C equals 2 pi r. Okay? So now we're going to substitute. C equals 2 times pi times r, and our r is 14. Well, here, because we have to multiply by 2, I know it's in front of the pi, but I could also do the 14 times 2. So that you would have to do 2 times 14, or 14 times 2. That's 28. So you would have c equals 28 pi. And that would be your answer. Okay. So this next one is a you do. So do they give you diameter or radius? Okay. Yes, they give you diameter. So what formula should you use? Okay. And then you're going to write the formula, substitute, and solve. Okay. So go ahead, pause your video, complete that one. And then when you're done, come back and we can do the we do. All right, so this is our we do. It says using circumference to find the missing dimension. A circular garden has a circumference of 45 yards. So this one gives you the circumference. What is the radius of the garden in terms of pi? So first of all, we're going to write the formula. So it gives us, we want to know in terms of radius. So that means we're using c equals 2 pi r. So now we're going to substitute. Well, it gives us 45 yards. That's our circumference. 2 pi r. We want to know the radius. We're actually going to skip this one because it doesn't work because we're doing it in terms of pi. So if we weren't doing it in terms of pi, we would be able to work backwards. Because it's wanting us to work backwards, we can't do that. Okay, but we can do this word problem. So let's do this word problem. So it says Jamie cut a large circle in her lawn for a fire pit. If the diameter of the circle, so it gives us diameter, is 36 inches, what is the circumference of the circle? So first of all, I'm going to draw my picture. So she cuts out a circle, and she has a diameter of 36. Okay, we want to know the circumference. So we're going to write the formula. Then we're going to substitute, and we're going to solve.
Teachers, please allow students into your classroom at this time.
Sorry, guys. All right, so our formula, if we're given diameter, we know we're going to use c equals pi times diameter. And so we're going to substitute. We don't know what circumference is because that's what it's asking us to find. We have pi, and then we have diameter, and our diameter is 36. And it just wants us to solve in terms of pi, just like we've been doing. I know it doesn't say it on here, but it's the same thing. So again, it's just going to be c equals 36 times pi, or 36 pi. And that's it. So today's fairly simple. You're just going to that step. Tomorrow we'll go on to the actual substitute, like fully solving the problem. Okay. So this is your, you're going to go ahead and move on to your independent practice. Your voice level is a 0. You are working on your own. Raise your hand if you need help. It's your circumference practice, which is the handout you have received. Stay seated. If you need to get up for any reason, throw something away, sharpen your pencil, or get scratch paper, just raise your hand. and make sure you get noticed by the teacher before you get up. And this is independent practice, and so the goal is for you to be successful. Okay?